everybody, it is Professor Parrish, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. We are officially in week 2, so we're getting down to some nitty-gritty now that we've settled in. Hopefully you all have your textbooks, you all have been able to get through week 1 all right, but let's talk about week 2. So everything is due on Father's Day this week, so we don't have as crazy a week as last week getting started. We just have a discussion forum, your first paper is due, that's probably the biggest thing, and then the reading response. So let's go over the module guide and just talk about kind of what we're doing this week. I'll post the lecture video right here under the video recordings for the week. As far as what we're doing in terms of story and short story, there are 7 genres of short story and fiction that I want to go over. Obviously, there is setting, there are characters, there's plot, there's symbolism, there's theme, there's point of view, and then there's tone, right? So we talked about a few of these in your readings last week. So hopefully in your readings, you got to make notes, talk about characters as well as plot. Those two are really important because characters and plot are essential, right? You have to have plot, you have to have something happening in your story, and then you have to have different types of characters. Now, our midterm and our final exam, they're basically going to be asking questions from the chapters themselves. So what I would recommend doing is going through your textbook, and at each chapter, the first couple pages for each of the readings that I've highlighted on here, like the ones for this week, you'll notice they're not very long, right? The setting page is only 2 pages. Tone and style are 2 pages. Theme is 2 pages. Symbol is 2 pages. Genre is 4 pages. And then reading long stories and novels is like 5 pages. So you'll notice that these are very, very short readings. What I would do is go throughout these readings, and if you see terms that are in bold, that are basically in bold or highlighted or pointed out in the text, go ahead and mark those, whether you write them down in a notebook with like the term and the page number, or you take like a little post-it note and mark it. Just have a way to know where those terms are because they will probably come back in your exams and your final exam as we go, right? I take everything from the book for the exam, so it's all there for you. You just have to know where to find it, right? But yeah, you have to have a tone and style. Style is probably the most loosely based element because it can vary so much, but your story has to have a theme or a purpose. There has to be some type of symbolism involved, and it usually falls within a genre. And a genre can be romance, it can be comedy, it can be horror, it can be action, it can talk about something nonfiction maybe if it's about somebody that's real. So you have lots of different genres. Like if you go into a bookstore, you'll see most different bookstores have everything listed by genre, right? Kind of like how music is by genre too. And so there are some segments here about reading long stories and novels and then writing about a story. If you're struggling with options 2 and 3 that you chose for paper 1 and you're like, how do I write about a story? There's a section about it right here. It's 5 pages and it's very readable. It's very accessible for you to give you some pointers on where to start. So if you're having trouble with this first paper, I would definitely look at page 1783 through 1807. There's a really nice chapter about writing about a story. It's not long and can be very helpful. So with that said, we'll talk about the discussion forum for this week. The discussion forum is asking you to choose a story from 2 chapters between chapter 9 and chapter 14, which is talking about fiction. And so with your 2 stories, I want to know what they are and why did you pick them? And the answer of why you can pick them can be as basic and literal as you want, or you can be as elaborate as you want. With each story, what is the best element that is used within it and what is the least effective? So with your 2 short stories, let's say story A has a great character. You're like, oh, I love the character of this story. They do it great. But let's say story A also doesn't really talk about the setting much. It's just like at a house. You're like, okay, so the best element is the character for reasons, and then the least effective is setting for reasons. And you'll do the same thing with your second choice as well. So you're just telling me which element we've talked about these last 2 weeks in our text has been best used by the story, which ones are least used, right? And then number 3, which element of fiction do you consider after viewing our chapters is the most important for a short story and why? And there's no wrong answer to this. It really varies on you as a reader and a writer. For me, I am a character person. I love stories involving with character. I can sacrifice some weird plot elements that maybe don't make sense if the characters are good and relatable. I'm like, I don't care what the plot is as long as I can get into the characters. Then I'm fine. So I would say the least important element of story for me would probably be like point of view or something. I don't care what if it's in first, second, third point of view. Don't care as long as it has really good characters. That's what drives me in. So that would be my answer, but you all can answer however you want to. But I really enjoyed your post for week 1. I don't go through and answer all of the posts, obviously, because there's so many of you and I'm teaching 3 classes this summer, so it would take a lot of time to respond to every single post. However, I do read them all because I check for your grammar, I check if you've actually given a detailed response, and y'all were amazing this first week. Your responses were great. I loved getting to know all of you. We have a pretty diverse class, even though we have a lot of like education majors, so that's exciting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all write these short 8 weeks that we have in the class and getting to know you through your papers. I'm really excited about that. So the reading response is probably the shorter of the assignments this week, and that's again just picking 2 stories and picking a story from each section rather, and then talking about each story in the questions, kind of like what you did with reading response number 1. And we'll do a couple of these with poetry, with drama, not so much drama because that is going to be a very short week in this class, but we'll do this with poetry as well. But just kind of making sure that you all understand like how is setting used, how is tone used, how is themes used, and how is symbolism utilized in stories. So just like last week when we were talking about the plot and the characters, here we're talking about the other more minor elements as well and how they're used in each of these short stories. So I'm really excited to see what you all pick for it. I think it should be pretty good. And then finally, the big assignment this week is your paper being due. Paper number 1 is due by Sunday. Now, please note that there's a couple things to note with this Dropbox about your paper. Part 1 is that how you submit the file. I know some of you might be using like a weird Microsoft Word, like free software, whatever. You guys as SIC students can actually download Microsoft Suite for free if you go to your Falcon Mail. It will let you use Microsoft Office Online. It will also let you download it to your computer, which is nice, right? So with that being said, there shouldn't be any reason why you can't save your paper as a .doc file, docx, those are Microsoft Word documents, an RTF file, or a PDF. If you're using Google Docs to write your paper, when you go up to File on Google Docs, there'll be a drop-down menu. You just drop it down and select Download As, and you can download it as a Word document or a PDF, whichever you want. You just have to turn it in as one of these file types. If you don't, I will be sending you a message that week being like, hey, you need to resubmit in the right format. If you don't submit in the right format, it's going to be a big old 0. So make sure that you do it the right way, and ask questions if you're having trouble submitting. The draft is due Sunday by 11:59. Do not email me at 12:30 a.m. with the paper. Make sure it's done by 11:59. I have students all the time that'll email at 12:30 and be like, oh, I'm sorry, it's late. Like I said in the syllabus, there are no late assignments. Do your work on time. Don't wait till the last minute and procrastinate. This will be lesson 1 if that's something you have trouble with. And then, like I said, it must be submitted on time. If you are not finished by Sunday and you're worried about your paper, if you're like, oh man, I've only got 2 pages, it's not done, go ahead and turn it in. You will get a chance to revise, but you have to turn it in order to get the chance to revise, right? You have to meet the deadline. I'm willing to let you revise your paper for a better grade, but you've got to turn it in on time first, right? That's kind of your reward for following the instructions. So drafts that are not submitted are going to be receive a 0 and not get a chance for revision. So please, I know that Sunday is Father's Day. You probably have plans with your family, your grandparents, parents, whatever, or you may be a father yourself. So do yourself a favor. Do not wait till Sunday to turn this paper in, because I know how that goes. You get to work, you get to being with family and friends, and then you forget about things, and then you get home at like 10:30 and you're like, crud. So just make sure to submit it before this weekend if you can. That will be a benefit to all of us. But yes, it has to be on time. If you don't have it done, just turn in what you've got by Sunday night and you will get a chance to revise. So as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm actually going to be on campus all week this year, I'll be on campus every day this week. So you can email me questions and I'll be able to get back to you, but just let me know. And then week 3 will go ahead and be opened up, but just be sure if you have questions to let me know. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more for English 122.